What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Box Office Banner and Cult Flick Symposium. Just got it on DVD. Yeah, that was the only way I knew how to watch it, and I'm a sucker for shark movies, and if you've seen my reviews on shark movies on this channel, they have not been too favorable because I usually even watch the terrible ones, and this one seemed like it could have been good. It had a ridiculous plot. I personally, being a huge fan of Jaws, would love to watch a serious, straightforward, eerie, get under your skin shark thriller / horror movie more than a silly one. But at the same time, you have to have this thing called, just intuition and self-reflection to know what kind of movie you have. And having a movie like this where your plane crashes from thousands of feet in the air into the ocean and sharks basically turn into the story of sharks on a fucking plane. I thought Samuel L. Jackson was about to show up. I'm sure somebody else has made that joke by now, but it's true. You're just like, let's fucking have some crazy witty shit. Like, even if Samuel L. Jackson showed up, I'd be like, dude, yes, the self-awareness is so fucking great here. Love that shot. Oh, and then he got eaten real quick. It was just like a Deep Blue Sea. That's a cool shout out. You should have had fun with this movie, especially if you watch the movie and there's certain things that happen within this movie that, just go above and beyond comprehension. Like, you'll be watching, you're like, well, why? That would never happen. Okay, that would never happen. That would never happen. And that can be fun. But the problem is, again, that self-awareness, when you have a movie with these things and you try to make it dead-ass serious with the acting, not that the acting is terrible, but it's not really good either. It's average at best. I say not terrible. Some people, everybody's like all or nothing, right? I think a lot of people are going to watch this and either not be, just hip to movies. There's those people who watch Lifetime movies and think the acting is like overly powerful because that's all they watch. I think it's going to go, slip right past some people, dude, and they'll just be like, yeah, the acting was pretty good. And I think a lot of other people are just going to be like, it was the worst thing ever, because that's just what they do. But I can tell you, from more level-headed space, I think the acting was average. I've seen terrible B shark movies. I've seen terrible B horror movies. Let's remove the shark from the label. I've seen much worse acting than this. This movie, the acting isn't necessarily the problem. It's what they're offering up. It's the absurdities. And you trying to go for a dead-ass serious movie around these things with actors that, while not bad, are not good either. And I think with these type of absurdities, they couldn't have even just been good. They needed to be great where you would forget about it. And, because there's some movies that can do that. And you're just like, oh, damn, like, yeah, that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. But, dude, I mean, the performances, it almost made me feel, and then it's kind of a funny thing. You're like, dude, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Or you got the movies, that, like, this one could have been, like, that was ridiculous. But it's like, yeah, know what you're watching. You can't do that here because it feels like everyone is so dead-ass serious. It just doesn't work. The movies do not mesh with each other. This one had a definitive chance to be kind of like a bait or something like that, where it's just fun. It just gives you that, pop to where it's not going to be anything memorable necessarily. It'll be memorable amongst, like, the genre or subgenre, animal attack, shark attack movies, where you're like, hey, that movie was a fucking shit ton of fun, though, was it not? Like, I don't know if you remember this one. If you like these kind of movies, check that out. It could have been that thing, but instead, it's very forgettable for that main reason, and I can't harp on really much more than that. It's the acting, it's the choices. They just do not blend together too well. As far as characters go, again, that lends itself to the acting. Like, there maybe could have been some fun characters, but instead they're all dead-ass serious in a very average movie. So it just doesn't really lend you to being a fan of anybody. Like, the leads don't even elevate themselves above the lesser acting people. So there's not even that, like, well, maybe there's one or two people. No, just does not work. Props, I guess, for doing something a little different. I have not seen the setup of sharks on a plane before, so that's, something, I guess. I will say some of the underwater shots were creepy-ish. You feel that feeling in the shark movies where you're like, okay, like, when's that going to pop out? When's this going to be? You did feel that in this movie to some extent. Nothing masterclass, but it wasn't a complete shit show in that regard. I'll give it at least something for that. I don't know what the budget was in this movie, but I can't imagine it was too big. But for what it was, like, I thought the sharks were going to look a lot worse. Not some of the best sharks I've seen on screen, but again, what I was anticipating, I thought the sharks actually fared pretty well in how they looked. And the kills, nothing special. I mean, it's not like you didn't see anything, so it wasn't a complete shit show in that regard. People do get torn up at times, but a lot of it's more water thrashing. Every once in a while, you get a cool underwater shark shot with a shark that was all right. And overall, you know, there's quite a few things, not quite a few, but at least maybe 3 to 4, maybe at most a handful of things that you're like, okay, you know, premise interesting enough, a little something different. Sharks actually don't look too bad. The Some of the underwater stuff, like, not terrible actually. Like, there's enough there to offer up to where it could have been an okay movie, but the direction it went, the things it did, not willing to be able to at least for me, lend yourself to absurdities because of how serious they're fucking taking this movie. It overall sunk it, just like The Plane. I could not get into it. This is yet another pretty bad shark movie, but I think certain crowds will be able to, you know, the people that just like don't. You always talk to some people that just don't look at absurdities at all, or you talk to people who are just like, I don't really care, man. Like, it was dead ass tense the whole time, and like, you know, you hear shit like, really, like, do you even what? But again, that's subjective. That's on you. If that works for you, that's good. I don't think this movie is a complete shit show. I'll say that, like some of these movies, but opportunity wasted. And the choices that would bother me more as like a guy that's seen so many movies and realizing the other directions they can go with tone and feel, that type of shit bothered me here. You know, it's hard to really stick with it. It really bothered me. It's like, why this route? Why this? Oh, you could have done this. And like, if it was a little more, you know, liven it up, like, look at what's happening right now. Like, this isn't supposed to be tense, or at least dial some of that back, and then we'll make it more of a shoestring budget, fucking closed, and like, oh my god, and you wouldn't have to do all those little extra tidbits, and maybe it's not on a fucking I don't know. You can shift these things around to where everything balances itself out a little better to overall make you have a better vibe and feel for the film. And for me, it just didn't click. The puzzle pieces didn't match, and you just shove them together, and you're like, let's see what the fuck happens. That, or you just overthought what you had at the helm. So this is not how you would handle a lower budget movie, assuming it is one. Again, I didn't look at the budget. It kind of felt like that. But there is spots where, you know, I think it'll be okay enough for some people. But for me, I got to give No Way Up a 4.5 out of 10. Not quite average, not quite good, definitely not quite great. Check it out if you're a shark connoisseur like me, though. Not really mad I did, you know, it was, you know, it's one-off watch. You know, I watch shark movies, and I've seen some horrible shark movies. This one isn't bottom of the barrel garbage, but it's not very good either, guys. Check it out if that's your thing. I love you guys. Peace.